Testing, testing, testing. Hello and welcome to the BIM 360 surgery. Today it is the 14th Excitech surgery, and today we're going to take a look at Revit cloud work sharing. Now I get asked this quite a lot, and I see quite a lot of dialogue on the forums just on how to do this, what's the best approach. So I thought I'm just going to do this from scratch. I'm going to do it all live via Revit, so it will be a real world example, nothing speeded up, it will be actual real world. So I've got a project set in 360, and if we just click the 9 dots at the top left, I'm just going to show you what I've done in terms of document management and how I've structured the folder structure. So we have a plans area and a project files area. So everything that we're going to do today is all done within the project file. So this is going to be like my work in progress area, and you will see that I've set up a series of folders, and I've got a work in progress, which is where I would generally just work myself, and then I've got team collaboration, and then I've got a client shared, client confidential areas where I can move and copy information to. So I'm going to try and do this all myself, as if I'm 3 different personas: an architect, an engineer, and a systems contractor. So first things first, I'm going to look at the process for how we would do work in progress as the architect. So I've got a folder, and within the architect's folder I've got subfolders, and I've got this 3D design folder, and that's the folder that I'm going to aim to put my information in via 360 and Revit. So I'm going to jump straight into Revit, and I'm going to open up a Revit model. Now this can be done as a brand new file, or you can do what I'm doing in this instance, and I'm going to open up basically a project which is nearing completion. So the idea being is that you can collaborate at any stage. It doesn't matter where the project is at. If you need to start at the beginning, brilliant, but if not, we're halfway through a project like this, we can simply start to collaborate. So everything is done via the collaborate tab, and you'll see you've got this manage collaboration. There's lots of things grayed out, and we've got this collaborate button. So if I click it, it will launch the collaboration panel, and you can see that I have 2 types. One is within my own network, so I can set up my own Revit central model without BIM 360, or I can simply choose document management. When I click this, this will allow me to navigate into the cloud platform, and then navigate to this project, and then store the file there. But before I do that, I just want to look at, there is a setting called publish settings. So when we upload a Revit project into BIM 360, we can control the information that we're sending, and this allows us to control what we call a publish set. So if I click publish settings, you will see that I can create a set of content that publishes to BIM 360. This way I can control what information the Revit model is sending, and it saves me having to strip out a Revit model. So I can just simply say, you can see I've got Architects Issue 1, and I've included all these views and sheets. But if we look at Architects Issue 2, you will see that that is a much reduced set of data. So in this instance, I'm going to say that I want to publish just set 1, so it's all the information. So I'm doing an initial collaboration. So I'm going to send up my 3D views, all the sheets. Once I start to collaborate, that's the information that gets sent. If I want to change it, let's say I wanted to go to issue 2, I could collaborate again. It would change the set of content that's going. So I'm going to start with issue number 1, save and close, and I'm going to collaborate straight away. So I click collaborate, BIM 360 document management, and then it will start to go and find the collaboration using the cloud. What it will list the amount of hubs that you're part of. So I'm going to click into Excitech 360, and then it gives you a list of the projects. On this, it's Project BIM 360 Surgery. I'm going to select Project Files, Work in Progress, Architect, and I'm going to link this to the 3D Architect file. And then I click Initiate. Now I am doing all this live, and I'm live streaming, so fingers crossed the internet is really quick. So this is real time. It's basically saving the information. It's then uploading the model. It's going to save a local cache of the file and then publish all into BIM 360. So it should take maybe a minute. So as that's uploading, just to jump back into 360, so the model is going to appear here. Now, obviously it's still in the upload process, so it will take a minute or two to come into BIM 360. So the way that the whole collaboration starts to work is based upon the permissions that we grant in these folders. And you can see that I'm the only member of this folder and full folder control. You can see that model has just appeared in BIM 360. You'll see it's not hyperlinked yet because it's still processing, but if we jump back to here, you will see that it has now saved the model and I've successfully initiated collaboration. So I'm going to close. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to close this project and I'm going to open up the structural model. Now this could be done by a completely different person. So if you're working with your engineer and the structural guys, I'm just doing it all under my username because it's a little bit easier, but this could be anyone. And if you've got BIM 360 design, you can then collaborate this model into the system. So here I've got a structural model, same principle, go to collaborate, publish settings, and you can see I've got engineer issue 1. So again, I'm controlling what information I'm sending. I click collaborate, save the model, and then it's the same principle where I go to BIM 360 document management. I select my hub, select my project, browse to the folder. Now the way that the permissions work, if you've got access to the folder, it will appear. If you don't, it simply won't. And then it will depend on your permissions whether you can upload, download, view, or edit. So I'm going to go work in progress. I'm the engineer, and I'm going to initiate the model into the engineering folder. I click initiate, and off that model will start to go. So you can see it's the same principle, but this time it's just the structural guy initiating his model into BIM 360. If we let that work in the background and we jump back to here, you will see that this file is still processing. It will take a minute or two for it to come up. The reason it's coming up as version 2 on my machine is because I previously just did a quick test prior to the surgery to make sure everything was working, because I am doing it live and I didn't want it to, for whatever reason, just not work. So that is usually, it will come in as a version 1. You'll see the size and it's starting to come through. You can click it and you will see that it will probably start, but you will see it's processing. So it does take a little bit of time, but that model is processing and will start to show in BIM 360. So I'm going to close out of that, and if we look at the engineering folder, that will probably be thereabouts. You will see it's the same principle with starting to work. So that has now initiated, and I'm going to do a third one where I'm going to open, click the mechanical file, click open, and I'm going to do the same principle. So this could be 3 people internally. And let me just try that file again. Or it could be external people. As expected, this would probably not work. So I'm just going to do the structure and the architecture. So the mechanical file must have been corrupt when I copied it. So let's go back and start to look at what's happening in here. So I've got my structural model loading, and my engineering, or my architectural and structural model are loading and changing. So to start to collaborate, if we open the architectural model again, you can go back to the home, and you can see that under the bottom left you will have BIM 360. You can just basically browse to your project files, and you can just navigate direct from in the Revit environment. So I click project files. It's been a little bit slow because I'm trying to do lots of work in the background. So I click my architect model, 3D design, and you will see that there's the model. It's a work shared cloud model automatically. There's the modification date, who did it, and the latest published state. You can select the 3 dots, and you can see that you can open all the work sets, you can edit, you can open an audit, you can select the tabs, and you can choose this information. So I'm going to open this model. So you can see it's opening direct from 360. And there we have it. So you can see now, once we're open, you now get this synchronize button, and this is where we can actually start to make changes to the model. So if I, let's say, go to the ground floor plan, I can start to modify and change. So first things first, what I want to do is I want to link in my structural model. Okay, so I can go to manage links, Revit, and I can just add a new link. And this time, because the structural model is now collaborated in the cloud, via the desktop connector, you can see that you can select BIM 360, select my project files, and if you've got access to the work in progress area, and if the engineer's given you access to the folder, I can then select this file, link it with origin to origin, click open, and then it will link in the file via 360. Now the clever stuff here is that should the structural model update, this link will then automatically update in Revit, and all I need to do is reload the file to get the changes to his model. So we select OK, and you'll see that I now have the structural model and my architectural model in my system. So you can see there's all the structural model, and we've got the two linked together. So if I was to make a change to the ground floor, so let's say we go in and we put in some windows really quickly. So I've made some very basic changes. I can then go to collaborate, publish settings, and if I need to change the issue, so I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to switch this now that I'm only issuing the new information, save and close, and now I'm going to synchronize them changes up to 360. You can see here when it's synchronizing, you'll see it's going to 360 direct. I'm going to compact the model, click OK, and then it repeats the process of the initial collaboration. Now the key thing here is that it's only synchronizing the changes. It's not uploading the complete model again. So you can see it's a lot quicker to upload and update the changes. Now bear in mind there's a lot of information processing in the background. You can see that the architect's model is there. The engineering model is also here. So you can see how easy this can be to collaborate. You basically initiate the BIM 360 collaboration, browse to the folder, upload the model, and then different people can then link that information direct into the Revit environment. So you'll see they will process. So that's a basic way to do your standard collaboration. But what if we start looking at what BIM 360 design collaboration can really do? So if we jump back to 360 and we select the modules, you will see that there is a design collaboration. So if I click it, this will allow us to actually start looking at the sets of data that have been sent. You will see that there's no accessible teams found. Please contact your project administrator. So what design collaboration does, it allows you to create teams. So you can go to project admin, click design collaboration, and you can add a team. So I'm going to add a team for the architect and then a team for the engineer. You see that I'm adding an architecture team. The default location is project files. But I'm going to say that if you already created folders, I can select them here. I'm going to go to project files and I'm actually going to pick the folders that I've got. So I'm going to say the 3D architect is my architect team. And I'm going to add an engineer team. So again, project files, work in progress, engineer. So I'm just mapping to them folders where the content is sitting. And we click close. And you can color these in. So I'm going to go, let's say red for the architect, blue for the engineer. So once I've got these two teams set, when we now click in to design collaboration and we select, you'll see you've got these swim lanes, and you'll see automatically in the engineers folder you'll see I've got architects issue 1, and if you remember back, that's the set of data that came when we published the set in Revit. And if we look at the engineer, you will see we've got engineer issue 1. Now what will happen shortly is that you will see that this is the initial collaboration. But remember, I've made some changes to Revit and then I synchronized again. If we go back to 360, you will see there's a button that can allow me to update that team space. So I click update to latest, click update, and what it's going to do is going to look at that published content and then take it into the system. You'll see that it's now updating 20%, and what should happen, I should now have the engineer issue 2. And I suppose the real thing here is, what do teams really do? So this allows me to control the sharing and consumption of information. So while that's working, I'm just going to close this down and open up the structural model. So again, I'm going to go to the surgery, work in progress, engineer, and I'm going to open up this structural model. So you can see that is still updating. Obviously, I'm doing everything live, so it does take a couple of minutes. So I'm going to jump to Revit. So this is the structural model. I might make some quick changes. So I might just copy these items from here to here. So something very, very quick. Go to the publish settings. You can see I'm going to create a new issue. So I'm going to duplicate that set. I'm going to say engineer issue 2. And I'm going to click it. And you can see that I can build the set of data. So I can say 3D views, where I'm going to take off the analytical ones. What sheets? So you can see that this is my set done. I'm going to save and close. And then synchronize with central. And I'm now going to push up changes to BIM 360. So I've initially coordinated the architect and engineer, made some changes. And let that synchronize up. So let's jump back. That's still updating. That's fine. You can see the engineering one, there will be an update coming there. See, that successfully synced. The same principle, we're going to update to latest. And then I'm going to jump back to the engineer model. So while I'm here, I'm going to do the reverse of what I did in the architect's model, and I'm going to link in this case, the architect model. So again, project files, work in progress, architect, and I'm going to link that file into my structural environment. So that is the architect model linked into the structure. So I'm going to close that down, synchronize them changes back, and then I'm going to concentrate on the architectural model from here on out. So the structural model has got some changes, and what we want to do is start to control the sharing of that information within BIM 360. So I'm going to jump to 360. You will see now I've got the architect issue 2. And what we can now do, utilizing these swim lanes, is that if I'm the architect, I can say that I can now create a package of content. So I'm going to say create a package, and it will fetch the latest set. So I'm going to say this is the set of data I wish to use. I'm going to say this is the issue to the engineer for coordination 1. You can see that it tells the architect has done it, it's date stamped, and I can control what information I'm sharing. So there's one set, 8 sheets, one 3D view, and then there's the project model. So I click save, and you will see that that is now ready to be issued. So I can delete it, I can show the changes, or I can go share. So I'm going to share this out to the people in the team. So I'm going to say this is the issue, please review. I can link it to a document set if I've got one. In this case, I'm just going to share that model, and that will share that package of content out to the team. You will see that it gets timestamped and it's here. And if I'm the engineer, I can click into my swim lane. You will see that this content has been issued to me. So as the engineer, I can say, well, okay, let's have a look at this content. You will see that I've got a package of content, and what I can do is I can click the set, and I can obviously go in and look at everything, or I can close that down, and I could say I want to explore it. So if I click explore, it takes me into the same view where I can actually go in here, have a little look around and explore, and you'll see there's the updated windows. But I can show the changes, and it will go through and look at what has changed between the models. And the key thing here is this consume button. So once I click consume, that is going to update the workspace, and it's going to update the links back in my Revit file. So if I click consume, I'm going to consume that content, and then that will allow me to update that information, and it's time stamped, so it says it was issued. You'll see I can see when it was consumed. I can just close that down, and now we're back to here. So if I go back into Revit and I open up the architectural folder, sorry, if I open up the structural folder, browse to that model, because I've consumed that data, the links are now updated within my Revit environment. So I'm just going to orbit round, and you will see there we are. We have the updated architectural file with the windows. And if we reverse that principle and we look at being the engineer, so I'm going to say that I'm the engineer, and I'm going to create a package of content to the architect. I'm going to say this is an issue to the engineer for coordination. I'm including this content, I'm saving it, and then I'm going to share that again to the project team. So if we jump back to Revit, let's be the architect again. So work in progress, be the architect, and it will open that cloud model. So you can start to see the way information is being controlled and the sharing process of how we can issue the set of content, create a package, and then that team can then explore it and then decide to consume that package. So we just let this open. Okay, so I'm just going to go to a 3D model and let's have a look at what we've currently got. And you will see there's the updated footing. So if I just go to wireframe, you will see there are changes and updates across. So the idea being is that you just control the information, you share it, and then you can have full swim lanes and timelines. And I guess that's the real power of this system, is that once the links are set up in the coordination space, once we start to share and publish sets of information, use the swim lanes to issue content based on sets, it's really easy to update and change your models. So that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully you found that sort of useful as a sort of a real world quick guide to getting started. It's really easy. Just click collaborate, form your teams, and then start sharing and coordinating content. Join me again next week for Surgery 15. I'm going to look at the creation of the OCR title blocks, and that is when you upload the sheets and the PDFs into the plan section, the BIM 360 system can read the title block information, but you need to do a little bit of configuration so it knows what to read and what tags. So I'm going to go through that from scratch, create that from default, and then add some custom parameters so you can just start to get full metadata of your project files in 360. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope you all have a great bank holiday weekend, and I will see you all again next week.